Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're older, why don't you come over and go back in time with me? 90s babies, nostalgia.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where a couple of 90s babies are having fun. That's it for today. We're switching things up a little bit. It's fall, and we're really excited. And we thought we are supporting the strikes going on with SAG-AFTRA and the WGA, which means that our content needs to revise a little bit. And what better way to just not talk about anything that could potentially be struck?
Yep. So we're switching it up. I know we'll get into this, but this is going to be our first bracket episode, our first fall episode, and our first ever bracket episode. So it's going to be exciting.
And also, apologies for any kinks. We're going to work it out. We're excited to be here, and we hope you enjoy.
Yes. With that, what have you been listening to or watching or enjoying lately?
I recently started watching Ragnarok on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have.
It was purely spontaneous. The third season just came out, third and final season. So it was on my homepage, and it's Norwegian, and obviously the I know a tiny smidge about Scandinavian mythology because I did study history in Norway, but I know more of it from the MCU. And it's a retelling in modern times, and I was curious, and I'm like, there's 6 episodes in the first season, and I just finished episode 5, and I'm very much enjoying it. And it's a foreign thing, so I feel confident recommending it.
Fun. Yeah. I don't know if it sounds my vibe, but I'm sure it's other people's.
It's like a high school drama,
Ooh.
but people are gods.
Okay.
There's so far, there's very little action. It's much more drama with higher stakes.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
What about you?
I recently read a book that I really enjoyed. Probably my favorite book I've read in like the last 2 years. I will preface this by saying that I'm super dyslexic, so I read like a 13-year-old. So I like YA and really things that are targeted to people that have like a reading level of a middle schooler or a high schooler, because that is just where I will be, and I'm fine with that. So this is a YA novel, but it's called The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and it's so good. Like, I loved her writing style. It follows a ghostwriter who can see ghosts.
Ooh.
And there's like her dealing with grief, plus falling in love, and there's a twist. It was really, really fun to read, really easy to read. And I liked that it didn't just focus on the characters or the love story. You got like other things, like her processing loss in her family and processing bullying from her past, and a lot of just really like other great things were thrown into the novel in a really great way. So that would be what I am enjoying.
No judgment, though, for reading YA, regardless of your dyslexia. I adore YA still. I do not have any learning disabilities at all. I read all genres, but I really love YA. I think we've discussed, as we switch up our content, our through line, regardless of if it's older stuff that we're consuming or newer, is that we really enjoy that like spark of teenagerdom and like the drama and the joy and everything involved in that. And YA is just
delivers.
It delivers, yes. Even
Mhm.
when it's silly and, like, poorly written, it's still,
Mhm.
like, ooh, it just makes me happy sometimes.
It's so good. I just feel like in my brain, I would love to be someone who, like, I don't know, I see a lot of friends and things posting, they read like poetry and nonfiction novels and all these things. I'm like, I would love to be that person, but I just won't read. Like,
I'm currently reading 3 books, and 2 of them are nonfiction
yeah,
because I, um, take a long time to read nonfiction, and then I get bored and start reading fiction in between.
yeah, that's fair. That's probably the way to do it.
So with that said, as we mentioned, we are moving into spooky season. Jess and I, we're like we're like professional podcasters right now or something. We like planned our content.
Mhm.
It's mind-boggling. Not that you've ever noticed, listeners, but we've not been the planners in the past.
No.
But we planned this time. We are bringing you a month and a half ish, a little over a month's worth of content
Mhm.
related to fall and spooky season. And we thought the best way to get into it is with a little bracket of all of our favorite fall things. So
Mhm.
earlier, Jess asked on Instagram for some contributions from people, and she was like, I'm going to be very mad if no one gives me any input, and sent me an
And people
adorable emoji.
and people did give us input, so we really appreciate everyone who contributed, and some people contributed a lot, which was very, very helpful. So I think I will continue doing that in the future, but I would love for an even more interaction and more suggestions.
Yes, and we are including fall items. We are including activities. Obviously, there's a lot of beverages and stuff. I'm just going to I created this bracket. I am not technologically advanced enough to share with Jessica, so I'm going to just go through each pairing that I did. I narrowed down the items from all of the input that we got and then randomly paired them up.
Mhm.
Are you ready to go, Jess?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So our first pairing is apple cider versus Halloween decorations.
Oh, what? Okay.
Apple cider, I will give to you, could be like the fresh one from the orchard, or it could be like the hot apple cider with like the cinnamon stick. Both.
Okay, okay. It can be chilled or hot.
Yes, that is the quicker way of saying what I said.
Um, I just needed to process.
Mhm.
I just see. This is why Amanda asked me. She's like, "Should the pairings make sense or should they be randomized?" I'm like, "Oh, it might be more fun if they're random." But now I'm like, "This is challenging
I
because
know.
they're not the same." Okay,
Because
I feel like
initially it was going to be like apple cider versus a PSL. And then I was like, no,
no,
chaos.
yeah, I feel like it has to be Halloween decorations because like apple cider is great, but like how much joy does it bring you? How much do you really have it? Like I think maybe honestly I might have one maybe twice during the entire fall season where Halloween decorations bring me a consistent like 6 weeks of joy.
So we did do tiny bits of decorations for our backgrounds for this. I will say I love looking at houses decorations. I don't love decorating my own home presently because I do live in New York where I have 2 tiny little closets and nowhere to store the stuff I already own.
Mm-hmm.
So I do kind of think that they should get docked for that. But I also think you're right on the apple cider. Like I literally have one and it's probably actually in winter.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not in fall. Yeah, and I feel like when you can go to like if you go apple picking or to an orchard and they have the like fresh pressed right there, that's like so good, but it's like how often is that really happening?
If
Um
you go to the winter markets in New York, there's some really good local apple cider because New York is
mm,
apple country, you know.
yeah.
But
Okay.
okay, we'll go with
Decorations.
decorations.
Okay.
Okay. Next one, Halloween, the holiday think of it as trick-or-treating, think of it as Halloween parties, versus pumpkin baked goods like pumpkin bread, pumpkin cookies. My mom makes pumpkin chocolate chip cookies every single fall without fail. I made them once and she was like, "You're messing it up." And I was like, "Mom, this is like a 7 ingredient recipe and I bake cookies all the time. I can't mess it up." And she's like, "No, you're doing it wrong."
And I'm sure you were doing it perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Oh no. I feel like we have to say Halloween, but I want to say pumpkin baked goods because I'm a baker, just so good. I bought stuff to make copycat of Starbucks's pumpkin cream cheese muffins, like the pumpkin muffins with the cream cheese center. Because I do think like any of those like places that have like fall baked goods, but they're doing them in masses, the copycat recipes that you make at home are just so much better.
And they're better ingredients.
Yeah, like yes, there's a lot of sugar, yes, there's flour, yes, there's all the things that like aren't good for you, but I'm watching what I'm putting in it and I'm buying the quality that I'm comfortable with, so you feel better about it.
Yeah, and I'm not a big calorie counter by any means, and by big I mean at all, but I will say I did work at Starbucks, and like a single slice of their lemon or pumpkin loaf is like 400 calories.
Yeah, wild. But yeah, I feel like I always have to get it in from like September through November. I like make a minimum of like 10 pumpkin things. So I feel like personally I would pick pumpkin baked goods because like we're not trick-or-treating. And honestly, at my age now, if I had a home where I could throw a Halloween party, I would all be about hosting, but like I'm not going to parties on Halloween.
I'm picking Halloween.
Ugh.
Because
we have to come to an agreement though.
It's the reason for the season. We wouldn't be using pumpkins so much if it weren't like the legend with the pumpkins and the carving and stuff. And we just like attribute those things. Yes, it's also like the harvest, but all of the candy that comes out, a lot of the things on this list, the movies, it's all because of Halloween. There wouldn't be magic in fall without it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we just pick decorations, and the decorations would not exist without it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably right, but also I just
Jess, we have so much to record today.
I know. Okay. Next.
Halloween.
Next,
candy corn versus scary movies.
Oh, easy. Candy corn.
Yeah, knew that one. Jess hates scary movies. That's going to be fun for our content coming up. Look forward to that. But we both fucking love candy corn. Next.
So good. Anyone who thinks it's trash, you're trash. And you belong in the trash. Next pairing.
That is so going on our socials.
Yep.
Oh my god. Okay, next pairing. Scenic fall activities like going for a hike or a road trip through the pretty colors versus Thanksgiving.
Okay, I feel like this is also easy. Scenic fall activities.
Really? I'm actually kind of surprised by that.
Thanksgiving is just bad. It's just bad. Bad.
Okay, it's bad history, but as a kid, like, my parents always hosted Thanksgiving, and both my parents have really big families, but we celebrated with my dad's side of the family, and we would easily have 20 to 30 people over every single year, and it was always like, my dad cooked the turkey, my mom did the stuffing, and then everyone else brought dishes, and it was a fun time. So, like, history terrible, not excusing that whatsoever, but the celebration of the holiday, kind of into it. As an adult now, though, I don't celebrate it at all.
Yeah, the last 2 years, my husband and I have decided to not go home for Thanksgiving, and instead we go get Korean barbecue, and it's amazing. And it's like our little date because we always go home for Christmas. And I know my mom sometimes listens to this podcast, so I hope she's not hearing this, but like, I love going home. I love the holidays. not going home for Thanksgiving is amazing.
Fair enough.
And I just have like so many amazing memories. And I would classify this under like fall scenic activities of us like driving to Apple Hill, which is like a couple hours north of the Bay Area. And going apple picking and driving to the different orchards and like taking the scenic way home. And just like we would do it, not every year, but like every couple of years. And it's just like such an amazing fall memory to me that I would always pick like the fall scenic activities over.
Having a family that does stuff must be wild. I went to an apple orchard once, and that's because it was a school field trip. So I did not, but I will choose the scenic activities also because this reminded me, I have great memories of Thanksgiving, but because families change so much over time, anytime I've been around for Thanksgiving, it's not been great as an adult. And my cousins, who I always spent Thanksgiving with growing up, now every single year without fail, they text me during Thanksgiving because it sucks so bad. So we'll go scenic. Okay, even though I don't really hike.
You can pretend.
It wants us to continue on this side before we get to the other side. So now we have Halloween versus Halloween decorations, which seems pretty simple to me.
Halloween.
Yeah, because it's the reason for the season. They come together. And candy corn versus scenic.
Oh, candy corn.
It's candy corn because this bitch doesn't hike.
No.
And by bitch, I mean me. And then Halloween versus candy corn.
Oh, no, I don't like this one.
I know. I knew anything
versus candy corn.
I was half prepared that candy corn was going to be the winner of the whole bracket.
But I feel like it has to okay, based on the logic that we've used previously, it has to be Halloween because we wouldn't have the season, the treats, the decorations, anything that goes along with it if we didn't have Halloween. So
my only counter argument to my own flawless logic is that candy corn is not a trick-or-treating candy. Candy corn is something I eat on Halloween, but for some reason they don't put it in the little baggies that they put everything else in.
No, very true. You can only get it in like a big thing, which serves my purpose of eating candy corn very well. I don't want a small amount. I want a bag of candy corn.
I almost bought it the other day because it was in Walgreens.
Oh, so good.
But so I still think we have to go Halloween.
Okay, great. I was like, are you leaning towards candy corn? No, but it has to be Halloween.
I'm just devil's advocate. So, next, from our other side of the bracket, we have cozy Halloween movies. This might be something with magic. It might not be, but it's around the season and it's not scary at all. You're just having a good time. Those are my favorites personally. Versus pumpkin carving, pumpkin patches, physical pumpkin activities.
Oh, like, okay. Pumpkin picking. Well, I guess that's pumpkin patches.
Yeah.
Or cozy Halloween movies?
Yes.
Oh, no.
The most iconic of which is the thumbnail for because I did create a bracket with visual aids because I thought it would be included in the visual part of this episode. Anyway, the most iconic one that I'm not naming that we both love has a giant pumpkin in the middle of it.
It does.
Which is still in the town that they shot it in.
I literally feel like I can't pick.
Okay, here's my question for you. Do you go to pumpkin patches and or carve pumpkins every year?
I don't carve pumpkins every year because my hands don't work. However, I do go to a pumpkin patch every year.
Every year?
Basically, yeah.
I think I've been to like one ever.
Me and my husband have a shared note of like upcoming date ideas, and so we have like a fall one, and I just like when I see things come up I run it in, and then he's like, oh yeah, let's do that or let's not do that. And I put
You
the
guys are
pumpkin
so
patch.
cute.
I know. I put the pumpkin patch on there, and he was like, "Why'd you even add it here? We always go." And I was like, "'Cause it's a fall date. Like, it still counts." He's like, "You know we're gonna go." So yes, we do normally go every year. I just like the vibes. I like to pick out a few of the pumpkins. I like the little like white ones, and I like the Cinderella pumpkins. I don't carve them, but you can still decorate. But also, there's just something so lovely about when the weather gets cool and you put on a cozy Halloween movie and it just feels like very in the season and you can have a little blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with our podcast, we should say movie. I feel like maybe movies.
I feel like I have to say movies because my cat's name is Marnie and I got her in October. So do the math
Mm-hmm.
about that same film that I just referenced.
Mm-hmm.
I do love carving pumpkins. It's one of the few traditions that I did a lot growing up and I have had a lot of fun with it, but I don't do it as much as an adult because again, I just don't have a lot of space in terms like it's a very messy thing to do and typically you need like a substantial amount of space to put everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
it's really messy.
and also like you pay for a pumpkin, you carve it, it's cute, and then it rots and yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
it rots before Halloween too, and then you're sad. I
Yeah,
also
depending on how early you get it. That's why it's like I would love to go and get pumpkins in September, but they just don't last until Halloween all the time. You gotta wait.
Mhm. Okay, next one we have fall leaves, which
Okay.
admittedly, living in the Northeast, I get a lot more of than you do in California.
Mm-hmm.
But think of the pretty colors, the
Mm-hmm.
way that they crunch under your feet. My
Mm-hmm.
university, the main road, used to be covered with maple
Oh,
trees, and they would all change color and fall. Granted, it's disgusting once it's because it was Vancouver and it rains all the time, and then they're giant piles of leaves that are just mush. But
yeah.
stunning while they last.
Mm-hmm.
Versus pumpkin pie.
Oh,
The iconic pie of Thanksgiving made with pumpkin, which is like half of the items on this bracket are related to pumpkin.
mm-hmm.
Controversial take.
Oh,
I don't like pumpkin pie that much.
I was just gonna say this is hard because I actually feel like it's one of those things where like a lot of people don't really like pumpkin pie. I don't dislike it, like I'll always have a slice, but also like if I had the option of like an apple pie
Mm-hmm.
or if there was something else, I would probably pick that over pumpkin pie.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, my uncle used to be in charge of the pies. He would come with a pie cage, and
Mm.
he always had a pumpkin, an apple, a cherry, and
Mm-hmm.
usually something else in there. I am an apple pie girl. I would have a bite or a very thin slice of pumpkin pie, but just the
Mm-hmm.
puree texture, it doesn't do anything for me.
Mm-hmm. And it's like pretty dense too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we have to say fall leaves. I love looking at the leaves when I go somewhere that has them. Um, but also in my heart, I feel like I also have to say it because Toby loves leaves and he
Mm-hmm.
just, whenever the leaves fall on our street, he loves just digging through them and crunching in them. And it's just very cute.
Toby is Jess's dog,
Hmm.
for reference, not a human.
No.
I also love them. I've done this drive. I used to live in Rhode Island and I drove from Rhode Island to New Jersey in the fall and the highway just goes through trees the whole time, like barely any cities for 3.5 hours and it's just mwah, stunning.
Beautiful.
Okay, next,
Hmm.
corn mazes versus fall scented candles. We're talking pumpkin spice, we're talking cinnamon, we're talking anything else you can think of because those were the only examples I could think of, and that's what the picture's of.
Hmm.
Versus corn mazes, which, I don't know if you've been to any corn mazes. I think I've only done the ones at we grew up in the Bay Area. We went to Great America, which was
Mm.
our local theme park, if you don't know. And they would do did you ever go to like the terror nights? Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure if maybe someone pressured you in high school, but they did a really fun like terror theme during the Halloween season where they hired actors and they separated the park into like 4 or 5 sections that were each a different horror theme. Like one was a werewolf theme and another one was a scary corn maze theme and one was a vampire theme and stuff. And these actors couldn't touch you, but they would like just be roaming around and would get in your face and freak you out. And also each section had a maze where those actors would jump out at you, and one of them was a corn maze. I think that's the only one I've ever done.
Yeah, they had one at my college every year because we had like a big pumpkin fall event, and they would do a corn maze. Yeah, when you go to an ag school, guys, you get really great fun events like that because it's an ag school. They have the land to do all these things. But yeah, they had a corn maze every year, and it was like for children during the day, and then they would make it spooky at night. And I only went through it once when it was spooky because I was peer pressured and I did not enjoy it. I was like, this is perfectly fine during the day. I don't know why we need to make it spooky. My vote is fall scented candles.
Okay. I don't feel strongly, so I'll go with that.
Okay, great.
I like a cinnamon candle, but I also consider that winter. Pumpkin, I'm hit or miss.
My favorite fall scented candle is well, I guess we're not doing brands, but this isn't related. It's fine. Bath and Body Works makes a candle. Yeah. They make a candle called Leaves. It is the best, most perfect fall scent ever. Leaves. It just smells like fall.
Find it at Bath and Body Works near you.
Yeah.
I have one that I think is going to blow your brain a little bit.
Okay.
Apple picking.
Okay.
Versus apple crisp. And for anyone listening, and I hope that there's someone listening, I need to tell you that I included apple crisp because, as I said, I am an apple pie girl, but also because about a week ago, Jess and I had a conversation in which she referenced apple crisp, and I had no idea what she was talking about. It's apple crumble, basically. It's the same thing. It's a crumbly thing with apples that are stewed and maybe some ice cream or whipped cream on top. It's delicious, but she was very appalled that I'm someone who likes to bake and loves desserts, and I did not know what it was. So I thought it might tickle her to include it here.
And by you didn't know what it was, you literally thought it was just like fresh sliced crisp apples. I was just very confused by the whole situation. It really...
Well, I knew that it wasn't apple chips, but at the same time, like, I'm just very appalled by the name because there's literally nothing crisp about apple crisp.
Sure. You're not wrong. Okay, apple crisp or apple picking?
Yeah. I know what I think, but that's, it's because I'm always right. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if I feel like inclined one way or another. I'm slightly leaning crisp only because what I like about going apple picking is not the physical parts where you pick the apples. I like seeing the orchard and walking around and taking photos and just like being leisurely and drinking some cider and getting apple cider donuts. But the physical apple picking part of the situation is like not my favorite.
Like I said, have been to one orchard ever. I'm apple crisp all the way, even though I didn't know what it was a week ago. I think apple desserts are top tier. They're elite. I don't even eat apples most of the time in my day-to-day, not because I dislike apples, okay? It's because apples dislike me. I have IBS, and apples are one of the potential triggers for it. Look up FODMAPs, people. But apple desserts?
Yum.
Always my first choice. Absolutely always. So we're going with that.
Agreed.
Okay, now we have cozy Halloween movies.
Okay.
Versus fall leaves.
Movies.
Agreed. The leaves get mushy. The movies are forever.
Yeah, and a little stinky.
Fall scented candles versus apple crisp.
Oh. Maybe apple crisp. I don't know. I really like both, but I just feel like if I had to pick, I would rather have a fall that included eating apple desserts and not have to have candles. Like I could live without the candles.
I agree. And also, I think a lot of pumpkin candles are hit or miss.
Sometimes they're so sweet it makes you want to like.
Okay, cozy Halloween movies versus Apple Crisp.
It has to be movies.
It has to be movies.
Yeah, it has to be movies.
Has to be. Okay, our final battle.
Sorry, I had a crunch.
I didn't hear it. I just heard the food in your mouth. Our final battle is our cozy Halloween movies versus Halloween itself.
Oh,
For
it has
the
to be
best,
Halloween.
the best item of fall. You sure?
Yeah, it has to be Halloween. And also, like, it is the best part of fall. Like, November is fine, but it's really the Halloween stuff that is the best.
So our winner of everything fall is Halloween itself.
Yeah.
Honestly, not mad about it. I'm mildly surprised that it wasn't candy corn though.
I am surprised too, but also the amount of hate we would have received.
I don't care.
No, I agree. I just literally said earlier in this podcast, if you don't like candy corn, you belong in the trash, which is what I believe. However, I just know that so many people literally hate it.
Yeah,
Where
and
Halloween
they're
feels a
wrong.
little more safe. And
Yes.
it just includes so much.
Also, in terms of our final Halloween versus cozy Halloween movies, I really wanted to be like, as an adult now, Halloween isn't really anything without the movies because I'm not trick-or-treating and I'm not going to parties. I'm just watching these movies. But I will say the movies don't exist without the holiday. And just normal, like, cozy magic movies I also enjoy, but they don't hit the same as a Halloween one.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is perfect. And Halloween winning is just like the perfect like segue into the rest of our September/October content. It's going to be truly more Halloween focused and spooky, where this one was more general fall. So I feel like this is the perfect transition into that.
I'm pretty sure fall is your favorite season, right, Jess?
Growing up, it was summer, but as an adult, my favorite season is fall. Yes.
I have always been a fall girl through and through. The weather is mwah, the colors are mwah, the vibes are mwah, love it. Sorry to any audio listeners for all of that. I adore fall, and also Halloween is my favorite holiday. I think it used to be Thanksgiving, but as an adult it's Halloween just because I love the magic element. Like I just want to live in one of those movies.
Yeah, that's like for living in an apartment in a city, I own a ridiculous amount of Halloween decorations.
She does.
But it's like a little it's not okay, but it is okay.
And
But
she
yes,
didn't find, she wants more. Sorry. I just have to shout that out she's mad she doesn't have little bats in her background.
yeah, I want little bats. I think bats will come, just not in probably the next couple episodes. But when you said like you want to live like in one of the movies, whenever you see like a home that is just like so decorated for Halloween, I'm like, that is just like my ultimate goal. Like it's just like so cozy and so fun and so spooky in like the best way.
My parents live on a block that is known for some reason. Like, I don't know if you had this growing up, but there would be some blocks that were just like the top tier blocks to trick or treat on. And my parents are on one of those blocks now. And when fall season comes around, especially once October starts, everyone is decorating to the nines. Like my parents' neighbors across the street have like a projector for some of their decorations, and they got tons of blow ups, and there's all sorts of things going on, and then they get like hundreds of trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
Because people come in from other neighborhoods to trick-or-treat in that neighborhood.
Yeah, that's what we did growing up is we would drive to a different neighborhood. My mom's coworker lived in one of those neighborhoods where everyone like when I talk about like full out, like there were multiple houses that would like turn their house and garage into something else. So like one year the facade of the house was like a castle. Another year it was like a pirate ship and they were all dressed as pirates. Like people got crazy on the street, like so into it. And so we went there like every single year growing up to trick or treat because our neighborhood kind of sucked, but that neighborhood was lit.
Oh my God, did anyone ever scare you?
I would not go to the houses that were it had people scaring people. That is not for me.
But how did you know? Like you saw people getting scared or something?
Yeah, like if you heard screams coming from the house or kids outside like crying that they didn't want to go in, that was kind of my vibe, that I was like, I'm probably going to be the same, so I'm just not going to go.
One time when I was maybe in first or second grade, my brother and I were trick-or-treating and someone jumped out of a bush carrying like an axe and chased us for a bit. And my brother, I think, told him off a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was not that much. I mean, he's 5 years older than me, but still, he was kind of like, ha ha, whatever. But yeah, and it's only happened once, but it's a core memory for me.
Yeah, spooky homes are not for me, but my younger sibling like loved them. Anything that was like super creepy and super spooky, they were all about it. And would go in by themselves, and I would just be like waiting outside, like I'm not going in there.
This got me excited, like it did.
Yeah, it got me excited too because we both mentioned to each other earlier, it is very hot in both New York and Los Angeles. And so even though we are preparing and we're getting in the fall spirit, we both are still feeling the effects of a lasting summer. And so kind of talking through all these things, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the season that we're like approaching / in right now, which is like very, very exciting. Up next, so as we mentioned, we're going to continue kind of spooky content. But up next, we are going to do our ultimate Halloween playlist. So we hope that you join us for that podcast episode coming out in a couple weeks.
Yes. And aside from that, thank you so much for listening. Please, I don't normally do the shout outs, Jess does, but I just want to say please rate us 5 stars on whatever you listen to us on because it is very helpful for our searchability. And also follow us on all of the things 90s Babies Nostalgia, spell out the word 90s for Instagram. I've also recently been posting on TikTok. Who is she? And there it's the number 90s. Sorry, it had to do with character space. Also on YouTube. We are on YouTube. If you don't know, this is a visual podcast as well. You probably know because I think we get more views there right now, but that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.